welcome back, everybody. We're now coming to our Game 3 decider here between Vici Gaming and CDEC. I'm Gods, joined by Lyrical. And it's time to see who's going to move on to the winner bracket final, be one game away from making it to Los Angeles for the Summit Fall Land Finals. Lyrical, Game 3 draft starting to unravel. I'm excited.
5 seconds.
Oh, I'm excited too. I can't wait. You know, each of these games have been entertaining in their own right. They've been able to bring something new and exciting to the scene. For me, at least, it was being able to see, obviously, the Morphling just go absolutely ham with the Alchemist in terms of their farm rates. Second time around as well, a super evenly matched game. Not something that you often see in Pro Dota nowadays. I always feel like one team is either playing from ahead or behind, and at that point, there wasn't a really clear position that either team was really far ahead until it really started to all fall apart with the Viper just going crazy. And this time going to be seeing somewhat of the similar types of heroes that we've seen consistently. There was a Tusk into an Ember Spirit Dazzle followed up by the Queen of Pain. So a couple of combinations of heroes here. Obviously, the Dazzle meant to make that Ember Spirit stay alive a little bit longer, and the Tusk Queen of Pain dealing out a lot of very quick burst damage out of Vici.
Yeah, and I think, importantly, taking the Tusk away from CDEC too, which they ran both the last two games. So being a hero which is still, despite some small nerfs in the 6.85 patch, is a top pick, not just in China, but all regions. This hero still reminds me a lot of like the old Batrider. Like, you can nerf his spells, but it's just the fact of what it's like the nature and the overall like mechanics around the hero. Snowball being able to save teammates and use as a pseudo disruption. You can dodge spells with it. Walrus Punch being a BKB piercing ultimate that can disable something like a BKB Requiem or be used as a blink initiation tool. So the hero really just has a great skill set, and nerfs aside, he's still going to be strong even in the current patch. And he fits the metagame really well. He kind of peaks at the right times. He has a lot of good early to mid-game presence, and then he can also scale well into the late game.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, just the natural ability to initiate. I think that really he came into his own when they took away the fact that Snowball moves at the same speed regardless of if you have heroes in it or not, multiple heroes in it or not. When that change ended up coming about, all of a sudden you saw this Tusk all over the place, and for good reason, because he's now powerful at every stage of the game, and he doesn't necessarily require you sort of diving headlong in with all of your teammates. But for now, Winter Wyvern also going to be banned out, as is the Lina and the Alchemist, as well as the Broodmother. So relatively standard stuff so far. Not going to be seeing the crazy combo that we saw, but this does leave the Night Stalker there, who's going to get picked up by CDEC. First time we're seeing him so far in this draft, and if there is ever an annoying hero, that was certainly one of them.
Yeah, I think the hero was banned in the first stage, I even want to say, by Vici Gaming the last couple of games, so even maybe it was banned by CDEC. It was definitely banned out by the two teams previously. But this time around, not banned in the first stage or the second. And yeah, CDEC will grab it either as a kind of support or an offlaner. Well, Urshek is back. You kind of talked about this here at the end of the last draft. We did not get to see... I mean, this hero has just disappeared off the map in 6.85, but we'll get to see a Shaker here right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've talked about this a fair amount in my cast as to why I think that this is the case. And I think more often this has been the patch of dual off lanes. And while Earthshaker can help you secure a lane, he doesn't do that well in a defensive tri-lane, which is one of the ways that you can deal with a offensive dual lane, hoping to find kills there. Because once you lay out your fissure, you don't really have a whole heck of a lot of follow-up to do anything beyond just going in there and right-click, and that's not what you want to be able to do as an Earthshaker. You want to be able to lay out your spells and put your team in a good position that they need to sort of overwhelm the enemy. But if you're roaming around in the Earthshaker, that means that your safe lane's relatively weaker, and you have to pick a defensive support, and then it just seems like instead what we've been seeing as the answer is to have very strong mid-lane heroes with either a Queen of Pain, a Wind Ranger, Lina, something else like that, and then sort of do another dual off-lane yourself that is offensive, or potentially go run the defensive tri-lane.
Yeah, and despite there being a lot of these, like when you mentioned the dual off lanes, but we're also seeing like a lot of dual lane mids, like where support will help secure the mid a good start. Urshik is good at roaming and ganking the mid lane. He's not good at really dual laning the mid lane. You'd rather have a Dazzle or a Winter Wyvern, someone who can just go up and start right-clicking away the opposing team's mid. Earthshaker does not harass. He doesn't right-click people. He sits back, throws a fissure from Fog, and allows the mid laner to do the harass. But that's where I feel like he also fell off as that mid lane +1, because he doesn't really zone at all. He's just sitting in the fog waiting for that time to use fissure. So not quite offering the same as what some of these other supports might do. CDEC for now, though, pick up Phoenix as their 4th pick, and I want to say this might be XZ's hero. He played a Phoenix yesterday, got completely out of control on a core Phoenix, ended up being like one of the most farmed heroes on their team that game. And that would mean the Night Stalker is going to be more of a support. But either Night Stalker or Phoenix in the offlane core position, the other can play that 4 position role, giving CDEC a very strong team fight right now with the Supernova.
Well, and of course, also as the game goes later and later, they get to choose the team fights they want to take because you got the Night Stalker who's going to give you great vision. I think, though, with the Silencer pick, this is kind of interesting. I think that this makes sense. Probably going to be played in the support role, I would imagine, which isn't necessarily a role that I love for this hero. But oftentimes when you have the Ember Spirit there, I feel like you get that Silencer as a support, so that way you're able to use the global to just take out the Ember Spirit's ability to escape from a fight. You can combo that with an Earthshaker Fissure from afar and then just hopefully burst him down with the combo of Tusk and Queen of Pain or whatever you end up wanting to bring over there.
And the laning stage is so good at zoning a Phoenix because you can't use dive to escape against Last Word. So I like the pick from Vici Gaming. They didn't really hesitate to grab it. They hadn't secured themselves as like zoning safe lane support yet. And something that Vici Gaming have run before in the past, generally for FY. We'll have to see who out of him and Fenrir plays the Shaker Silencer, but either way, I think it's a pick that suits the Vici Gaming lineup very well. Does put the Tusk in... I want to say the Tusk in the offlane. I guess Shaker can also be played as an offlaner rather than a roaming hero if they want to do the Tusk support Shaker offlane. And now Vici Gaming just looking for the last pick core hero. As you'd probably expect Burning's hero, I imagine, out of this.
Yeah, definitely. Now that they have that Shadow Fiend pick, though, you mentioned that there's the potential for the Earthshaker to run into that that offlane there. I wonder if it would be worth it to run the Tusk in the offlane and just have that Shaker sit mid and get ready to jump on top of that Shadow Fiend. Obviously, Dazzle is probably going to be... That would force Dazzle to sit mid a little bit more if you have that pressure from the Earthshaker mid as well, and then your Ember Spirit's a little bit more exposed against the Tusk. There's kind of some trade-offs there in terms of how you want to run that dual mid, and you mentioned that this is a reason why Shaker has fallen off. I wonder if we're going to be seeing that in this game.
Yeah, and I feel like if the Shaker is going to be camping mid and plays support, Dazzle just does a 2v2 mid. You have Dazzle there, and the beauty of the Dazzle, to go back to what I say, is that he can trade hits with Quap and harass. Earthshaker can't really harass Dazzle or SF because they'll just kite you back. They've got the range advantage. All you can do is fissure. So I think CDEC can do well in 2 of the 3 lanes if the Shaker tries to like roam around and be that kind of mid lane assistant hero, because you can just Dazzle SF mid. You have the Ember Spirit who does fine in the safe lane against what would be an Ice Tusk. So last pick for Vici Gaming now is a Gyrocopter. We'll see just the standard safe lane carry for them, something that can fight early, have a lot of early to mid game presence, and then also scale well into the late game, although it did not work out for them in game number 2.
Well, and you mentioned also as well, as we talk more about this somewhat of an interesting pick, a couple of interesting picks in this one. I think probably the Earthshaker and the Phoenix, the 2 that stand out to me, that Vici haven't really been playing a lot in the recent past. So maybe they have something up their sleeve as far as a reappreciation of the Earthshaker, or maybe they just haven't been seeing that he's not a popular hero. But regardless, certainly going to be hoping to make his presence felt early, because that's really what this hero is all about.
I think part of the reason why Ember's being picked a lot more in 6.85 compared to 6.84 was because Shaker's actually a good counter to the Ember. Like, one of the big things to be able to catch an Ember is to have an instant jump and catch potential, which Shaker has. You can use Fissure either from Fog, or you can use a Blink Echo Slam once you get that Blink Dagger up, which by the time you're at the stage of the game where Ember's a really big threat, where he's got his Battle Fury, Daedalus, and whatnot, Earthshaker's going to have a Blink. So you can lead the way with a Blink Echo Slam if you need to, or the Fissure. So you've got plenty of control, silence, coming out of this Vici side. The Silencer not just good against the Phoenix, but also good against the Ember Spirit. This is going to be a tough Ember Spirit game once we kind of get into the late game. Looks like they saw this early ward planted, though. CDEC pinging it out and likely to get a fast D-ward off.
They also, for Vici, were able to block the Phoenix from laying down the ward over in the pole camp. So back and forth we go. We do see the Shadow Fiend get a nice little soul from the ward as well. Apparently eyes have souls.
30 seconds
Give to the
to
Shadow
go.
Fiend.
Everything has souls in Dota. I guess. There used to be a cool strat where you could go Veno SF and put a Plague Ward in the Roshan pit. Rosh would hit the Plague Ward once, it wouldn't kill it, then SF would deny the ward, and you could have max souls on the first creep wave as an SF. Like, you'd have 12 souls and you'd go to lane. It was absolutely absurd. But then now they've moved the Roshan pit a bit further away, so I'm not sure if that's actually still a feasible strategy or not.
The battle
Well,
begins.
regardless, Shadow Fiend just coming to lane with 1 soul this time around, but very happy to have it indeed. And does get a lane ward up as well.
Phoenix takes the other bounty rune, gets the bottom one, so no bounty rune for Vici Gaming this game, and that's a nice little pickup for XZ, considering he is going to struggle in this offlane, so having a little bit of XP bonus, already halfway to level 2, will help him out a lot.
Grand Theft Bounty Rune. Making it happen. It does look like the Shaker is going to come on over here and run into the Dazzle. This is kind of cool. The positioning now for this Earthshaker works pretty well for him. He's going to be able to right-click away, and hopefully this means that he's going to have a little bit more of a harassment presence than he would otherwise. But Dazzle actually hits pretty dang hard and fast with those right-clicks.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with the Dazzle. Not to mention you got the heal. Top lane is where Guard is going to start off with, doing a lot of harass here. Warnuts may go down here, but he didn't quite get the Void off. Now the stun underneath the tower. Another Void. It looks like Ice may be paying for this one, but he's juking around the trees. He got the Tengo region, and he's got a Stout Shield. Guard is going to lose this fight. First blood to Tusk. That Tengo Stout Shield. The Tengo region combined with the damage block of the Stout Shield. And he baited him.
Don't forget about the Mango, the most excellent of items.
That
oh
regen.
god, that was so good.
That was all
just
the
a
Mango.
great
What are we
trick.
talking about, Lyrical? That was Mango Dota right there.
Oh, it's wonderful. I also love the Earthshaker set. Just random little things about, but it's good to see the game start off like that. Not necessarily because of favoring one side or the other, but just to have some solid play, some solid jukes. 3 heroes now up in this top lane, and hopefully going to be able to take a little bit of revenge as the Vici Gaming actually not going to be running their set on the Tusk. I keep talking about sets, but for some reason it keeps popping into my mind. Man, Mr. Tusk.
Well, Ice had to break up his set to get the new little Immortal. He's got the little penguin Ice Shard. But he has the rest of his set.
Worthy
That's the one thing that's annoying. Like, you have a set, you see this new cool item come out that's much more rare and has special effects. You're like, man, I gotta break up my set just to use this new item. But the things you do for cosmetics and hats in Dota 2, I guess.
Absolutely. Dazzle as well as the Night Stalker just going to be able to get the little side pull off, and hopefully the Igloo will get a couple of those last hits. Didn't quite get the Hellbear Smasher, unfortunately. Dazzle, I believe, picked that one up, and always the battle that ends up coming out in these little engagements is how well are you going to be able to contest the pulls. But Tusk has already gotten level 3, so it's pretty comfortable, and particularly if you compare that to where the Phoenix is at, having to move on over into the mid lane and just now picking up that level 2.
He got level 2 by leeching mid experience, and that was while getting a bounty rune. He really struggled just to get 100 experience points to get to level 2. Ice, level 3.5. So this is where Phoenix is just not a common or popular pick for the offlane. He really struggles to hold his own. He's got 0 base armor. He's got an escape spell, but he's got terrible base damage. He can't trade right clicks with the supports and just doesn't have any way of kind of pulling back the creep equilibrium. Look at what Tusk can do with the Ice Shards trick. You look at what Clockwork can do with the Cogs. And you just look at these other offlaners, be it a Spirit Breaker or a Night Stalker. They're all really tanky as well. So Phoenix just doesn't have any good tools to really go down to that offlane. It's kind of like a Queen of Pain, but with less lane dominance. Like an offlane Queen of Pain has the Blink Escape that doesn't get countered for one thing by a Silencer necessarily. And then you've also got much better lane control. Phoenix, all your spells do self-inflicted damage, which make the hero even worse for the offlane. So very much a weak hero in the laning stage, but if you can come online mid-game, very powerful.
Absolutely, and I guess also the fact is that the Silencer just counters him so hard. It does mean that you do have to be running a Silencer who's a bit of I don't want to say a weak support, but a vulnerable support. If you take a look at what these other heroes are, particularly the Night Stalker, if he's able to get up the levels and he is starting to get the pulls through, he can jump on top of that Silencer and really inflict a lot of damage very quickly. So there's not a ton of jump. The Ember Spirit is the other one that I'm thinking about here, who when you get those Fire Remnants out, there's not really a great escape mechanic for the Silencer. So that might be some little consolation prize but again, to sacrifice your whole off lane for maybe having a vulnerable support still doesn't seem completely worth it, but hopefully going to be able to find the farm that she needs.
Another Dire Observer Ward on the high ground at mid. This one is, again, scouted out by this sentry, so see the sentry expire, and I don't know if Vici Gaming have caught vision there. They'll see this ward in a second. Yeah, I believe the sentry saw it right before it expired, so we may see another sentry come out mid lane just to take it out, but Nice SI spending a lot of time around this mid lane to try and get some XP. XZ, let's be careful on the Phoenix. We'll take the last word, fissure block, but should be okay.
Just messing with him. Just
Yeah.
getting up inside of his head. Like, when you're already level 2 at 5 minutes in, like, you already are in a bit of a flustered spot, and also just getting fissure blocked in for not really any reason other than to mess with you. It's a little bit frustrating. It's going to rotate on into the mid lane now, and 4 heroes here for the super. If they don't get this kill, this is a lot of potential farm wasted, but looks like there really isn't any chance to kill with the lineup that they've got.
And Super just not even moving forward to go for last hits. He's just leeching XP from far away, knowing that a Night Stalker rotation with a Silence Void is enough to kill him. FY is now rocked up, so there is a fissure counter initiation, which may give Super a bit more confidence to at least go for some farm in this lane. With it pushing under his tower, he should be alright. But first nighttime, unlikely to see much in the way of kills for CDEC. I don't think they'll be overly concerned. Like, often you kind of talk about Night Stalker needs to get a lot done during the night phase, but this early on, CDEC with an SF and an underleveled Phoenix aren't really ready to make that big push to get aggressive. I think it happens around the second night phase, like 12 to 16 minutes in. Ember's going to be really powerful. That's when CDEC need to really get a big lead.
I will say, I really, really like this play now by CDEC. The Phoenix has been having a ton of trouble in lane, moves on into the jungle with the Shadow Fiend, and is around for the bonus EXP as a 4 stack gets taken, and probably another one here as well in just a second on the medium camp. So now all of a sudden your Phoenix is up to level 4. Well, it's even with the Tusk, like a complete and total turnaround. It does mean your Shadow Fiend isn't accelerating as much as he would otherwise, but a good way to turn this back around.
Queen of Pain Sonic Wave, they get the kill in mid lane. Night Stalker goes down. So the first Sonic Wave is a 2-minute plus cooldown onto a support Night Stalker. Takes him out of the picture while it's night, so that's also somewhat important to note, although it felt like CDEC were more just sending him mid to get some XP and farm. Across the board on the CDEC side, it does feel like they've got a few heroes more underleveled than they'd like, but they're starting to fix that, as yeah, the Phoenix does now catch up, as you kind of mentioned. So nice little bit of play there. SF
Bottom lane.
farming well. Aggressive actually rotating, gets silence. He's in trouble here. Gets the Remnant out for now. Chase is on though, and another Ice Shards will be available soon, but doesn't look like they'll find any kills.
He's going in there on Fenrir, wanting to make something happen, but overextended a little bit with the last word being popped, as well as the TPs in, the fissure connecting there, and just creating things a little bit awkwardly. But obviously, good escape mechanics. The Ember Spirit is going to be able to get out of there, but a full rotation also.
Yes. That's, I think, the biggest thing is that Ember wastes time. And like that first TP gank as an Ember, you're expecting to get something out of it. You do open up your safe lane, so Dazzle gets some farm, some XP, but you'd much rather Ember would have just stayed top, kept on farming, than go bottom and waste his time not getting a kill.
Also, you meant a thing to keep in mind, the Night Stalker is going to be moving on back into the offlane now, going to get last worded up, but while this is happening, you're getting double stacks up by the Phoenix. All right, Ember now turning around onto Ice. Ice is going to get a couple more right clicks. The Void does connect, but the Snowball, after the fissure, is going to be dropped. It's still not going to be able to get out of there. Kill by the Dazzle.
Yeah. So, seems CDEC have recovered really nicely after what seemed to be a quite poor laning stage. The Ember and the SF just getting active on the map. Shiki already up to level 9 now. He's by far the top net worth hero, 1,500 net worth ahead of the Queen of Pain. Those neutral stacks just being the big difference maker here in the early game.
It's about to be another double. So this is going to be 2 triple stacks here. I think unless he thought about going for the Fire Spirits on it.
No. So I have a triple stack at the big camp and a double stack at the medium camp. Either way, a good amount of farm. Looks like Phoenix will just stay in the mid lane rather than leech XP in the jungle. Trying to get that level 6.
Very comfortable with that one indeed. And I guess the thing that we haven't really talked about is while they have been able to, build back up a lead, Burning has been consistently able to farm. Does have the phase boots up now, as well as a belt of strength, and probably going to be building into a Sanjin Yasha, just getting those early components quickly, so that way he's a little bit more tanky. And he hasn't really been under any pressure at all in this lane. If you take a look at the last hit, 64 right now, and while Shadow Fiend is approaching 100 very quickly by the 10-minute mark, that's actually insane. The Gyrocopter's been able to get pretty much free farm as well.
Yeah, 100 CS at 10 minutes. You see 10 CS a minute when you reach like the 20-minute mark on a hero like an Alchemist or an Anti-Mage with Battle Fury, but to do 10 CS a minute this early on in the game, that is actually some of the most impressive stuff I've seen on a Shadow Fiend. That is absurd levels of farm. Hits level 11 now as well. Level 11, 100 plus CS, 10 minutes in the game. Holy crap. This is probably in like the top 5 best SF performances like of all time. Kill at top lane, they use the cooldown, and with a Tusk initiation, they do bring down the Night Stalker, but if I'm CDEC, I'm thinking, it's just a Night Stalker. We got SF, who's out of control right now.
I actually, I didn't even realize, like, I was completely and totally blown away by that stat when I ended up seeing it. And Mechanism now finished off as well. He is very, very comfortable and hasn't really been able to be pressured in lane by the Quap. The Phoenix is going to try and make her presence felt. It's going to just to deal a little bit more damage to this Queen of Pain, but they do lose the top tower. So a couple of things coming together for Vici here. They're looking pretty decent.
Yeah, and Burning, while he's not on SF levels of farm, he's about as farmed as a Gyrocopter can be. He hasn't had the stacks available to him. We'll be going into what looks like the standard SMY rush as far as he's concerned. And Fenrir bottom doesn't feel safe, silences up the Ember, and then just goes for the TP out. I think recognizing that CDEC are going to be pushing this bottom lane. They're bringing 3-4 heroes down here. They've got the SF mech, so this is not a fight Vici Gaming are really able to take. The silence has to TP out. The Gyrocopter may have cooldown, but that gets negated by the mech largely, so this will just be a counter tower going CDEC's way. Question is if they'll defend the top tier 2, and it looks like the answer is going to be yes. Ember already TPing.
He's going to be able to pressure this one out. So for Vici, is there something that you're waiting for that you really want to be able to get online before you go for a big fight here? Is there, jump forward aggressive, not going to be able to get caught. Is there anything in particular, or are you just sort of...
Global silence is probably the biggest thing that they are missing, which is makes a big difference as far as being able to jump someone like Ember Spirit at top. They can actually kill him with a cooldown rocket barrage off of either a fissure or a snowball initiation, assuming they have global silence. If you don't have global, he's very likely to be able to just get the remnant out and escape. So I think they're going to wait for the global, not necessarily use it to teamfight, but try and kill off some core heroes like the Ember when he's alone. It's very hard for them to take 5v5 fights, especially now that it's nighttime.
Well, they're already in position. Sun is up for the Phoenix as well if you do want to use it for the first time in this team fight. They're getting ready to potentially fight against this setup. And as you mentioned, no global quite yet on Fenrir. It's getting a little bit scary, and they're just going to back on out now. Both sides not wanting to take this one quite yet. Phoenix.
Trouble. He can't do this, though. Wow, that snowball actually helped him out there. He's going to get the egg off now from in the low ground, the river. They can't even attack it. They're going to turn around with the SF, who's already popped the mech. He's going to come with aggressives. Ember Spirit, another chains in 3. This does not look good at all for Vici Gaming. Fighting without the global, not working at all to their advantage. The drums timing as well from aggressive, just giving him this great chase and catch potential. And they lose 2. I think that snowball actually saved Phoenix.
Yeah, I think it did as well.
He canceled the dive for him. He was going to come back to the original location. The nature of this last word means you cannot cancel the dive. You loop all the way around, but the snowball cut him off halfway through the dive because the stun interrupts it. So, unfortunately for Vici Gaming, that kind of leads them to their demise. They actually had a pickoff on XZ if not for that snowball.
That's kind of an interesting little thing too, because that feels, once you're already all the way out there as the Tusk, like you're snowballed, you're in the river, the sun ends up popping out before you're able to get the pickoff that you thought you were able to get, and all of a sudden they get drawn into this team fight that they don't want to take a little bit. So it was good for them to be able to disengage from it after the fact, but
yeah. I think it was actually, it was one of those things where Phoenix, who was silenced up, and Ice is like, oh, he's not going to use dive because he's got last word on him. So he just wanted to snowball to get in close for a Walrus Punch to finish off Phoenix. But Phoenix made a sick play there. That was, looking back on it, I think that was actually an insane play from XD to go for the dive out. Top lane will see SF get caught out. Burst down. Didn't even get a chance to use the mech, but yeah, that was, I think, possibly an amazing, I mean, it was definitely an amazing play from XZ and not even really a bad play from Ice. Very much thought the Phoenix was just going to stand still and accept his fate that he's getting silenced, but because we have last word on you, you never go for a dive escape when you've got last word on you.
Yeah. Definitely. Global Silence is going to be popped that time, probably saving the Queen of Pain's life. He would have potentially been able to throw on out those little spirits as well as get the sun off. I don't know if it would have been enough to kill, but it certainly would have been close with the follow-up coming in from the Night Stalker as well as right clicks. So we do end up blowing the Global Silence here. A very long cooldown on that one, and we saw what ends up happening if you try and fight into a big, scary lineup like CDEC without it. Earthshaker also struggling to be able to finish off picking up that level 6 for him. Also worth noting that the Tusk has been able to get level 8 and is going to be trying to go for that mechanism now. So all of these pieces for Vici Gaming, it feels like they just need a little bit more farm, and probably because of how effectively the Shadow Fiend's been able to farm, they're just a little bit behind in terms of those key items and the levels that are going to allow them to take these engagements here.
Yeah.
As we see the Dazzle and the Shadow Fiend move on over towards this top lane.
That was a TP top from Queen of Pain. It looks like they're possibly trying to set up to fight this one. Call down Sonic Wave. We saw what this duo can do last game. They're going to make this play. They're TPing in. Call down is there to lead things off. Super ready with a Sonic Wave. It may just be Q. They go on. Nice Vision will prevent any Grave coming out. The egg in the middle of things, so they focus it down or back off. It looks like back off will be the call. Ball on in, will dodge the Phoenix Sun. Now the cooldown is already still on cooldown. Great Sonic Wave Scream Super unleashes a huge amount of damage here. Unfortunately for Gyro and Tusk, they actually snowballed into their own death, so there's no follow-up here. And Super forced to back off. The mech advantage proving to be too much. Only a Dazzle kill. That was with the Dream Sonic Wave, and it's not just going to be 2. It's going to be a 3rd kill going the way of CDEC now, with Queen of Pain dying as well.
They also hit an Echo Slam on top of that. It was just everything. That mech was too strong. You saw them all get away on almost no HP there at the end, and the Earthshaker in that fight dealt out 800 damage. Like, they were all dealing a ton of damage, but the end, just that heal coming out at the exact right time, making sure they were able to re-engage at the end for the Queen of Pain kill, and now they're going to be able to take this other tower. And again, Global Silence back up now. Wish it would have been a couple of seconds earlier.
There just aren't enough. Outside of the Dazzle, everyone's sitting on around like 1k or even more than 1k HP in the case of heroes like Nightstalker and Ember, and that's where Queen of Pain dishes out 2.5k damage, but it's split between all 5 heroes, so the mech gets full effect with everyone getting healed back up. Dazzle, unfortunately dead, so they didn't even have the Shadow Wave, but even without the Dazzle, still enough heals to sustain them and get them out. So now, being kind of caught out on his own, but I'm not sure if this is a kill that Vici Gaming want to go for. But hold on, they do. Global Silence is back up. That's what they were missing last fight. And this time around, it's going to give them an SF kill. The Walrus Punch goes out on Dazzle. He gets the defensive Grave and aggressive. Looking to do just that. He's getting aggressive and trying to go in for some kills here. 3 Hero Fissure. The Ice Shards catches out 4 as well. Fantastic disengage coming out from FY there on the Shaker.
Might be looking for a little bit more as well. There's the Remnant away. Snowball coming forward is going to end up connecting onto 3 heroes as well as the Fissure. So much damage and control coming out. Nicely done. Super is going to be able to walk away from this one. The Shards keeping him alive, and a triple kill for Super.
I can't believe how many multiple hero stuns we're seeing. The Snowball stuns 3 heroes. The Earthshaker Fissure stunned 4 heroes, and 3 heroes the next time. Every single stun from Vici Gaming is catching 3 or 4 heroes. And not just the stun, spells like Ice Shards coming out from the Tusk, catching multiple heroes as well. They are really maximizing their damage output with every single spell they cast.
A 5,000 or 4,500 gold swing at the end of it, as well as 4,600 EXP. Every person dead on CDEC and nobody going down for Vici at the end of that last little bit of the engagement, which it seems like it's been lasting for about 5 minutes. They just keep on sitting up near where those tier 1 towers did sit before and are going to end up getting away from it this time. So looking good again now. After that Global Silence, it's really starting to look a little bit more into their favor.
Yeah. One fight with Global and suddenly, yeah, things have heavily turned around. Gyro will have enough money to complete the Sanjin Yasha, not to mention another 850 gold on top of it, so can pick up even just something like a casual Ogre Club to go with this, to start boosting up your HP even further. So we're looking at a Vici Gaming squad who are going to be pretty strong here in the mid game. FY still has a ways to go for it before his Blink Dagger's up, but for Vici Gaming, this is going to be farm time. They want to wait until they have Global again, as well as the cooldown and everything else before they try to take another fight. But those spells have actually come up pretty fast. Global Silence already back online for Vici.
Well, it's because that fight was so long. Like, they used it at the very beginning of it, and well, not the very, very beginning, but the sort of the second half of the beginning. They were able to toss it out there. And Silencer here as well is going to be going for that Shadow Amulet. So wanting to keep himself alive when they're in good position to do so. The BKB timing versus the Global Silence is going to be important to keep an eye on. And now he's going to be able to run away from this one. Last word going to hit, but not really going to be a problem.
Yeah, and I believe this will be the Glimmer Cape. Yep, he picks up the other component. So Glimmer Cape completed by Fenrir, which will help a lot against some of the magic damage bursts that can come out. The SF Razor's Requiem being the big thing. If anyone ever gets caught by a Searing Chains or gets silenced by a Night Stalker, they'll quickly become a good Glimmer target to keep alive against some of the nuke damage that can follow it up.
Also having here the Orchid on the Queen of Pain and the Mechanism finished on the Tusk, they're really going to be ready to fight as soon as they end up getting all of these spells off cooldown. They are now there. Oh, Night Stalker is a little bit separated from the herd. The Queen of Pain jumps on top of him immediately, gets the silence down from the Orchid, is going to end up popping to the last word. I do believe Sun down on top of everybody. The Snowball is going to be able to keep him alive, I think. Oh, jumping away. They're taking the damage, though. Oh, they're in trouble. Fenrir taking a ton of it. Global Silence coming down might be a bit too late. Are going to get a multiple hero stun yet again with the Fissure. Queen of Pain blinking away, and now FY needs to get out of there. Echo Slam, but to what end? Oh, Super now getting bursted down. Is going to be able to blink away from it, though. Shallow Grave maybe a little bit preemptively. I think that they get the chains. Oh,
what?
I thought he was going to go
Yeah,
for that.
Sleight of Fist. Could have gone for the slight chains. I guess didn't feel confident in it. Maybe didn't know about the Orchid timing, but yeah, I think he actually had that kill. Interesting. Aggressive, normally very on point with his Ember play, but that time there, not willing to go for the aggressive kill. CDEC, that Phoenix Egg was just insane. XZ is making plays happen on this Phoenix, because that fight looked really bad for CDEC. They actually had two heroes, SF and Dazzle, in the Roshan pit when the Night Stalker got caught out. Ice got a great shards off and like blocked Shiki into the Roshan pit, taking Rosh damage while they were going on the Night Stalker. So it looked like a really bad fight for CDEC to be taking until Phoenix came in and hit the Egg of a Lifetime. The Snowball from Tusk kind of working against Vici Gaming, not for the first time this game as well.
They're going to end up going right on into the Aegis Seraphine. The mech does end up coming out. They're jumping forward again with XZ. It looks like they're going to at least chase them away for now. Oh, the shards break the Aegis. A 3-hero Fissure as well. Oh, God, the cooldown on top of the Gyrocopter is going to be able to keep them alive a little longer. Now the BKB popped by the Shadow Fiend. He's just going to go crazy.
Get back in. There's no Fire Remnants out. They've got Rocket Barrage as well that'll break through the Flame Guard, and so killing the Ember as well. Another Fissure comes in, and Shiki's blocked in. He's got no TP. FY saying, guys, come on, I've caught an SF. Do something about it. Burning's here with Rocket Barrage, and that'll be enough to bring down the Shadow Fiend. What a re-engagement. This is such a back-and-forth game. Vici Gaming team wipe, then CDEC Gaming get a 3-for-1 plus a Roshan. Then Vici Gaming get like a 1-for-4 trade. This is just one team wins a fight. It means they're going to lose the next fight, it seems.
That was really strange. So I wanted to talk about something more about that little engagement beforehand, but we ended up going into another huge team fight. One thing about the Sun there as well, you sort of felt there the nerf that came about with Tusk with the lower duration for how long before the Snowball ends up unlatching naturally.
Yeah.
Because he would have been able to get that, I think, in 6.84. Oh, that's a catch on to Dazzle. He's going to end up falling yet again. I do believe Global Silence does end up getting popped. No ability for him to TP away as that Grave does wear out. And then the other thing was, I think that the reason that the Ember didn't end up going for the kill on the Queen of Pain there at the end was the last second they were able to burst down Roshan. Vici was almost at the door to be able to contest it. Maybe if you end up committing the Ember Spirit and the other hero that was there, you're not able to get Roshan quick enough because of how short the the respawn timers are.
Absolutely, and from their point of view, getting an Aegis is more important than a Queen of Pain kill. So I can definitely see the reasoning there for their team. I think the one thing they maybe for Vici Gaming where the fight went wrong was instead of going for the Snowball there, they should have tried to focus down the Supernova. It was a level 2 Supernova, but they had 3 heroes next to it, so all 3 heroes could have just tried to attack it down. Unfortunately, the Gyro with the BKB, the one hero they really need for that. Not playing. There's going to be a TP coming in aggressive with Boots of Travel. Rotates up top. Supernova this time cannot be dealt with, I feel. Super right-clicks at once and then quickly realizes, oh wait, I'm on my own. Back off.
I thought about the re-engage with the
Super
shards
forward.
committed as well as the fissure, but they're going to be able to walk away from that one.
These fissures have just been insane from FY. I'm just losing count of how many like that last fight in the jungle, he hit another, I think 4 hero fissure. I'm not sure if he hit the SF before the Aegis proc, but even with the SF Aegis proc, he hit the other 3 heroes who are still alive. Like that was just insane damage output and also splitting up the fight. There's like 1 or 2 heroes on one side, a hero on the other side, and leads the fight for the, like opens up the fight for Queen of Pain just to go blinking in aggressively and get a ton of damage dealt and clean up some of those squishy supports.
You know what it is? I think it's the golden immortal totem.
Yeah.
Definitely going to be.
It's all in the cosmetics. The
Pay to
gravel
win,
horn.
definitely.
I like the dragon one, the one from the Chinese New Year event, the Spring
Yeah,
Festival.
definitely.
That's my preferred totem. Can't remember what it's called, but it's got like a
he does have
Chinese
a blink
dragon
dagger
on it or
too.
something.
It's pretty sweet, definitely. The golden ones are always really cool.
Oh yeah.
He does have his blink dagger up now as well, so he's going to really start to be able to tear people apart. And that instant initiation that you talked about during the draft, being able to jump on top of that Ember Spirit and follow it up after the fact with potentially a global silence. I think that now if you're an Ember Spirit, you really need to be careful about where you're farming.
Yes, it's very dangerous. Hasn't got any escape from a global silence until he completes the Manta, which seems to be some ways away. So, and it's not just the global silence. So yeah, the Blink Dagger and the Shaker as just as big a threat. Also, it means if you're a BKB hero like Shiki, you can't rely on that BKB when you're against a Blink Shaker, when you can get that instant jump on you. They put down a ward behind the tower. All they need is some vision here. Defensive weave is used. CDEC are expecting this, it seems. Gearing up for what could be a big fight around this tier 1 tower. He shows himself, but Vici Gaming have got to know more heroes sitting right behind him.
And you take a look at the positioning right now for everybody, just fully ready for the fight, ready to jump forward with the Earthshaker, Queen of Pain on the other side, so that way she can blink in and get a good initiation with the Sonic Wave. Dazzle way back in the trees is actually a little bit separated at this point. If he moves out right now, he needs to be careful because the Observer Ward from the Radiant's going to be able to spot him going up, and he does back out to the bottom. So, all right, just posturing for each side, and they're going to be content for a tier 1 tower. After a smoke used, I'm not really sure who ends up winning off of that one because you lose a smoke, but you also are able to get a tower.
I mean, it just felt like such a zero trade. Like it was like a zero net sum between the two teams. No one really gained anything. I mean, a smoke use, it did lead into Vici Gaming getting a nice ward down as well. So from that point of view, I think Vici Gaming, looking at their vision now in the enemy jungle as well as around the mid lane, they've got some really good wards up. So I think they're not going to... It's not the result they were hoping for, but it's still decent enough for them. So CDEC at the same time, avoid it, don't get killed at all. I don't really feel like anyone walks away from that thinking, oh, great for us.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody just a little bit upset. And again, this harkens back to, oh god, FY is going to end up going for this one. Echo Slam down, as well as the Enchant Totem. Fissure laid down, and one more right click is going to be enough. Gyrocopter gets it with the Rocket Barrage.
And they even held the global there. It looked like they might just be a tiny bit short of having enough damage. I was almost thinking like, pop the global, but they, like the last little bit of cooldown damage, I think the second cooldown hit secured the kill there. Well executed kill at that. That's
Well,
what the
every
Ember.
little
That's
bit
why
here
the Embers game is
matters.
going to be very difficult now.
Yeah, certainly. Every little bit matters as well. Being able to save that global, like when you're fighting in not necessarily, it's not an elimination match, obviously, but for these teams, it definitely feels like they want to win this one. And every single game you're going to want to win when you're a competitor at this level, but particularly when it's the chance to be able to move on relatively soon into the final big tournament at the end of the year in LA. It's certainly really coming down to this one and how well they're going to be able to execute in this game here.
So, Vici Gaming happy just to back off for now. They've now got the 2 top farmers in the game, and they've pulled away by about 3,000 net worth. Both Game 2 and Game 3 have been neck and neck, and again, we see about 30 minutes in the game, the biggest gold lead has been around 3,000 net worth. It was a bit more than that for CDEC at one stage of the game, but we're not seeing either team snowball out of control, which has definitely been I mean, in general with Dota, it's the trend. Whichever team gets like a small early game advantage, you're able to turn a small lead into a slightly bigger lead. And then it just gets bigger and bigger as time goes on. Bottom lane, they've caught aggressive again. This time with the silencer, they didn't have an Echo Slam. They're trying to bring him down. They haven't quite got the damage they need. Aggressive, using the tree line to block some of that Rocket Barrage damage. I'm not sure if that was the difference maker, but it really felt like he played that one well. You can't hit the Rocket Barrage when they go into fog against you.
They were able to get that first fissure down, followed up with the enchant, but the second one just didn't come around quite quick enough, unfortunately. And we're trying to make up that extra little bit of difference in terms of stun duration with the silence, and not quite there in time, unfortunately. It does look like Earthshaker is going to be building on towards that Force Staff next, potentially. It seems like it would make the most sense, and I'm sure he's able to find the initiation end goal.
Yeah, Force Staff, just more mobility, more kind of ways to maneuver around a fight, hit that totem, whatever it may be. Like you blink in, use all your spells, and then you've got another totem. You're like, I've got no blink, but you can Force Staff around and save teammates. So a lot of things you can do with this. CDEC all go in the Roshan pit. It was actually going to be respawning fairly soon, something Vici Gaming have got to be wary of. But now they smoke into the enemy jungle. Heading right towards Vici Gaming, burning on the receiving end. BKB cooldown, though. He turns to fight this one. They're going to ignore him for now. Go for the backlines. FY and Fenrir have to be careful. That's an aggressive Ember. They're not ready to fight, but it's burning. Fighting underneath the Supernova. He's going to have to find himself get stunned up fairly soon. Super on the Queen of Pain. Used the Sonic Wave. Didn't get any kills apart from the Dazzle so far. Cheeky with BKB wearing off. Goes down. Doesn't really seem to matter for CDEC, who is still charging forward. XC on the Phoenix. Again, making plays happen. That Supernova just catching out absolutely everyone. And Vici Gaming somehow keep the Earthshaker alive with a TP escape, but it's CDEC who come out on top.
He actually went back in for the Blink Echo, and then he got Crippling Feared at the last second. That was a really close play, because if he gets that, he has his full combo up, ready to go. If he ends up hitting that one, I feel like he gets a triple kill. So really quick fingers there by the
triple kill,
Nightstalker.
but he would have gotten at least one, probably a second as well. But I don't know if he was going to be able to 1v3 there, but very much it would have been a worthwhile trade to throw away your life to get a couple of kills, including kills on core heroes like Phoenix and well, I guess Nightstalker not really a core, but Nightstalker with a gem and a lot of farm now.
Yeah. He's getting close to that Aghanim's. Only needs about 1,000 more gold to finish it off, and being able to take this Roshan is certainly going to do it. And this is, it's just sort of the classic, very calculated and prepared play here by CDEC. They're moving on in. They're able to take the team fight after they won't move on into the Roche pit for the smoke. Make sure that they're able to take this next Roshan, and probably going to be pushing up for tier 2 towers at this next engagement that they end up taking. So all in all, very, very solid play.
I think we're partially seeing how Vici Gaming are a little bit weak right now, even with the BKBs. They've got this double BKB on Quap as well as Gyro, but they haven't got that secondary item on top of it. Feels like Queen of Pain really needs the Shivers Guard. Gyro has the Dominator, but is really going to need, I'd say, a Butterfly just for the extra attack speed. Not once this game have they brought down the Supernova. This has just been their undoing in every single fight. XC's Phoenix, hands down my MVP so far as CDEC are concerned. I think without him, they'd have just be getting crushed this game. And that's where, I mean, you look at either team, Vici Gaming, I think, have been much more well-rounded and solid, but XZ has been a huge playmaker this game.
Well, and considering how bad his laning stage went, it's really impressive. Also, he's only died once. He's gone 1, 1, and 11. That's perfectly fine for your offlane hero, who's now level 17 with a level 3 ulti. Like, he is, I am really, really impressed. I think generally part of it as well, though, is the fact that the whole team CDEC sort of rallied around him by being able to get those stacks on up in the jungle, and then after the fact bring him up there to make sure he got the farm that he needed, because they knew that this was the extra little oomph that they were going to need to take these team fights in the mid game. So really, really good game management in terms of prioritizing the farm that they need for the off lane.
Vici Gaming, I think after that fight and the fact that now the Age is in the hands of the Shadow Fiend, will be going back to that kind of farming state. Burning, farming out the Ancients. Talks about how it does feel like both he and Super need that one extra item before they're ready to fight. And the question is trying to get to that item without giving up too much. If CDEC suddenly have an Ag Scepter on Nightstalker, which they definitely will, along with other big scary late game items, then you've got problems. Shadow Fiend himself has picked up an SMY though, so it's not like he's going for the pure late game build here. Is just stopping off at an item which can help them take towers and presumably CDEC will be looking for these tier 2 towers during the Aegis duration, although for now they're not really showing it. I think it's because they want the vision advantage. They haven't got an Ag Scepter yet on Night Stalker. Having a Night Stalker with Ags and Aegis, that's time where you just smoke and go for a big play.
Oh, bottom lane, they're going to be able to find the Ember Spirit yet again.
again.
Everything thrown out. That's huge.
Oh man, that's... I really feel like CDEC were just about to go for a smoke pickoff. Garda's headed back to base. I think he's just going to sell an item to get his Ag Scepter plus TP. Yeah, he sells his wand, buys the Ags, picks up a TP. And this was going to be time to smoke. You just got your Ags on Night Stalker. You have an Aegis. You want to smoke and go for a fight. And Ember being dead for the next 60 seconds, that pickoff matters a massive amount. That changes a lot right now. And Vici Gaming are actually going on the aggressive despite CDEC having an Aegis.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, this could be a little bit dangerous. Ember also doesn't have a buyback. They don't know this, of course, but they are going to at least have some idea of it considering he's not buying back right now. Still going to be a 5-on-5 considering the Aegis is back up. But if this fight lasts longer than 2 minutes, it's going to end up being reclaimed beforehand. Vision advantage is going to be in the way of CDEC now, having that unobstructed at the nighttime.
Yeah.
Question is, do they want to take this team fight? And it seems like it might be a little bit scary to actually go into it. We do have the crit up on Shadow Fiend as well, so investing in these little items just to give them whatever advantage they possibly can.
And that's where they wanted to get whatever items they could get to make this smoke gank as powerful as possible. So to go back to the Ember getting picked off, this really hurts the overall CDEC strategy. It's going to instantly TP mid, and they smoke. What's that underneath the ward? I don't know. This Radiant ward, it's during darkness, did not see anything at all. So immediately CDEC making a move. Will find Super here. He's got a BKB, pops it, can blink out. So smoke gank avoided as a courier does get aggressive. Whoopsie daisy. That was actually a pretty rich courier. Is that the, what, butterfly or something on there? AC.
So.
Super, actually going for an AC, not a Shivers. His completed AC was on there. Oh boy. That means we're playing 3 minutes without an AC on the side of Vici Gaming.
That's really huge. So they trade essentially a tier 2 tower for a tier 2 tower. The other 2 towers still standing for Vici and only 1 up for CDEC. So going to see the split push game come out a little bit as the Earthshaker moves his way and just sort of bounds off towards the bottom lane to see if he can do this. But he does need to be careful and make sure he comes on back with this full combo, because I guess the Aegis is going to expire before they're going to be able to go high ground. Yeah, I think CDEC bounce now.
I think they know there's just no high ground push coming. Earthshaker's going to be careful because, yeah, Boots of Travel means... Oh, no, he's actually going to go for this kill. Not again. Not like this.
Not
Aggressive.
like this.
Oh, put one in the jar. Blink, Echo Slam, Sonic Wave, Scream. They've taken him out once more. You've got to learn your lesson. This is, what, the 3rd time now he's been picked off by himself in that exact same fashion. Once at the top lane, once at the bottom lane. There was one which he actually survived. So there's been about 4 plays at the same move. 3 of the 4 times he's died. I would say, like, if it's 2 of the 4, like, okay, that's excusable. But 3 out of the 4, it's... That's just becoming too much. Very much a very smart play from FY. FY was just anticipating that TP because he was already in position to make that jump, like, as well as the Queen of Pain. Both players were very close to where he TP'd into, and FY's and the Ember aggressive is probably thinking, it's like, oh, there's a tier 2 tower bottom. If they see me TP bot, they can only react by going to the tower. But they anticipated the move, predicted where he would go, and were ready to jump him. But still, I feel like Ember, you've just not got to, you've got to stop giving up these kills.
It is. I agree with you again, though, about how really impressive that was. The anticipation there. It sort of reminds me of a chess play to a certain extent. You expect what the opponent's going to do, and then you play your next move based upon that. And
yeah.
Really cool to be able to see that type of play in a game that's as fast-paced as Dota, because it's not often that you get enough time to really think about what the next move is going to be. You're almost always constantly reacting, and you get a general idea of when your power curve is going to be very strong or whatever. But to be able to find that type of sort of presence of mind to really make that play, really heads up there by Vici. And I think that, if they keep on finding those pickoffs on Ember, he had just gotten to the lane. He got 1 sleight of fist out. It's a 6-second cooldown. Like,
yeah. Well, and he found the 1 creep wave, and I was like, okay, he finished that creep wave. He's actually going to be okay. But then he pushed forward and went for a 2nd creep wave. That was where he got too greedy. If he'd just taken the 1 creep wave, then backed off. But he showed himself on the map, cleared a creep wave, and then continues to push. So it wasn't like he cleared one creep wave in 3 to 5 seconds and backed off. He was visible and in the lane for about 10 to 15 seconds, but still, more than anything, it was just a really solid pickoff from Vici Gaming, who now find themselves able to withstand the Aegis duration. We're back to 0 net worth difference between the two teams. Nothing on experience. This game practically dead even. I don't even feel like either team has a big advantage going into the late game. Some of these heroes like Phoenix, not really known for scaling all that great. Night Stalker, the vision he provides, always great in the late game, but the hero itself is not going to offer a whole lot the longer this game goes. So I do feel like CDEC maybe have a few more heroes that fall off later on, but the vision advantage makes up for maybe having a slightly weaker late game lineup.
Yeah, certainly. I think that, like you mentioned, there's not a ton that you get out of it, but when you have plays like this where you have a smoke coming on in, this could actually sort of negate that vision advantage. You're feeling comfortable.
Oh, it's daytime now. They timed this for the daybreak. Blink Echo. FY catches out Q and Guard, and they're going to blow up the 2 supports instantly. Global Silence helping ensure that one. Shiki, BKB TP. Good response from him, and XZ also TP's out, so CDEC cut their losses, and that was about as good as you could hope for CDEC, considering the good jump that Vici Gaming got.
That's 3,000 gold on top of this Earthshaker as well now on top of this. Like, they're really going to start to be able to get the items that they need. And Glimmer Cape, Force Staff up on the Silencer. Across the board, I mean, the Roshan obviously is not going to respond for a really long time. It's a relatively long timer, but it does feel like they're at least going to be able to take this tier 2 tower and potentially just continue to build up a little bit more of that gold lead. They haven't really, as you said, it's back down to even, but I feel like once these towers start getting taken down here, or at least this last tier 2, they're going to be at least a little bit ahead.
Make a play here. They are grouping up, have Night Stalker back in 5. Yeah, they're going to not make a play, but they will defend the tier 2 tower. And for Vici Gaming, they've got to push out the top lane, even maybe apply some pressure in mid and bottom, and then they've got to come back. They're wary of Roshan. Neither team knowing when Rosh is coming back. It could have respawned already for what the two teams know. Good news for Vici Gaming is they can camp a creep in there. One of the great late game benefits of having a Helm of the Dominator is that you've got this just constant scouting creep that can just sit in Roshan and let you know should CDEC go for Rosh or should Roshan respawn.
Absolutely, and making sure that they're going to have eyes on it is what you want to do. Oh, and there it goes.
Blueberry rune is picked up. He's got a bottle DD rune. Got past the bottle from Super. This is actually one of those like late game options, which if you have a DD flak in a team fight, that is just such a big difference to your everyday normal flak. His base damage 166 means he's going to get a lot out of this rune. Backs off. There goes the Supernova. They may focus this one down with the BKB. Yep, Boning's going to do just that. And he's flacking while doing this. The DD rune just tears apart CDEC. They've lost both support. SF as well. Phoenix buys back 4 for nothing with a buyback. Double damage all day long, not to mention XZ's first egg, which seemed slightly out of position. Vici Gaming were just in a good position to focus it down. The two BKB cores can just BKB off the Fire Spirit and then attack the egg while BKB, not to mention they've got plenty of attack speed, Butterfly and AC. That egg did not stand a chance.
This might end up being game-defining right here. You end up losing all of those heroes so quickly off the back of it. Buyback status, none up on the Shadow Fiend, the big person that's going to be in charge there. And the Night Stalker does have it, but again, what's he going to be able to do? Catches on top of the Phoenix. He's going to fall. That's a dieback. 90 seconds, and now this is going to be a lane of barracks and potentially the game as well. All of the other tier 2s, at least up in the top lane, are taken down, so going to lose the other set of barracks there. Moving up for the tier 3. Oh, and CDEC can only look back on alarm.
Well, Ember's just going to, at most, I'd say, take a tier 3 tower up top, just split pushing, knowing there's nothing he can do to defend. If he tries to defend, he's most likely getting caught out by the Earthshaker, and, well, we'll see them back off. FY will defend the top lane. Doesn't even get the tier 3 tower just yet in the end, although Siege Creep may change that, but it is Vici Gaming with a 4 racks advantage, poised to take the Game 3 decider here. And all it took was a few clutch plays and a clutch bottled up double damage rune.
It's crazy how much that can just totally change the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Now that being said, we do have another potential. They're going for Roshan. They do end up tossing out the Igloo as well to keep them back off of this, but they're going to be able to get Rosh.
Yeah, it's daytime. Ice Shards is there to scout. Rosh is already down and Burning picks it up. And we'll see the snowball now. It looks like Ice may wants to re-engage. Burning now folds it up. The silence is there. Garda does get off the nighttime, but the nighttime actually breaks open as Blink forward from Super. He's got Cheese and a BKB still. Sonic Wave potentially could come out. Q brave, and well, he'll have to accept his fate. Hey, Lyrical, this is feeling like the end for CDEC.
Well, not quite the end. It is still the upper bracket, but definitely the end of this game is looking what it's going to be like. It's been a good couple of games. In the end, it really came down to a bit of luck, some solid play as well. Being able to consistently find that Ember Spirit, I felt like was a very important point. The Phoenix was making really great plays in terms of being able to find him, but overall, I think the Earthshaker really making his presence felt with FY there and showing that this hero still can have some relevancy.
Yeah. And this was all despite the SF's amazing start. We'll see one last fight break out. Super goes blinking in, still has the cheese to keep him alive. They take out SF, Ember, SF with buyback, but it's not going to matter. The throne's exposed, and Vici Gaming forced the GG. And SF this game had 100 CS at 10 minutes and was level 11. This was one of the best SF starts you've ever seen in competitive Dota, and it still didn't matter. Not to mention one of the best Phoenix performances I've ever seen. Yes, Aggressive didn't play his best game, but most times you have that kind of a start in SF, those kind of plays coming out of a Phoenix, and even if your safe lane Ember just has an average but not amazing game, you still win because of how well everything else is panned out. But when you're versing Vici Gaming, that's the scary thing here. It feels like everything has to go right and everything has to be perfect for you to beat this Vici Gaming team right now.
I am in awe of how well they were able to play this game and coming out with the really unique drafts, doing this also without really playing in any real games so far this patch at all, before we ended up seeing this past 4 that we've seen in the last couple of days. It's really impressive, the sort of level of skill that we've seen out of them, the crispness, the anticipatory plays, being able to jump forward knowing the Ember Spirit's going to overstay his welcome, and all in all, just really impressed with this Vici Gaming squad.
Oh, absolutely. They are now in the winner bracket finals, and it's not really a traditional double elimination because there is no grand finals. They will be versing either Newbie or eHome, that match coming up next, in a match that will determine the first Chinese team to be coming to the Summit 4. So either Vici, Newbie, or eHome will be ensured a spot, and the loser of that winner bracket final drops down to the lower bracket, where they go right into the lower bracket final, and that is a second match to determine the second Chinese team to attend the LAN final. So Vici Gaming looking red hot. The other team, though, who's playing incredibly well lately has been Newbie. They stormed their way through the Frankfurt Majors qualifiers. They come into this series against eHome, I would say, as favorites. So we'll be seeing them coming up next. Lyrical, I want to say thanks for joining me. I hope you can get some rest now. Sorry to keep you up, but it's been a lot of fun as always.
Oh, absolutely. It's a ton of fun, and looking forward to seeing where they end up going as we move on into this next stage of exciting Dota. A ton of big tournaments coming up, and loving to be a part of it.
Great. Well, you guys can follow Lyrical on Twitter at LyricalDota. You can follow myself at BTS Gods, but don't go anywhere. We'll wake up LD, bring him in. We've got eHome versus Newbie coming up. Don't go anywhere.